Hi guys, once again, welcome. And today we're just going to be talking about a very important role in the software development lifecycle team, a tech team, which not many people actually know about. So it's called a CMS or web producer role. When you ask a lot of people in tech or even like outside tech, if you ask them what they know about tech, you might see people telling you about maybe cybersecurity, maybe people telling you about software development and so many more. Um, However, there are some other roles which are hidden from a lot of people, whom which people that have been in the field, could actually tell. They are the ones that could actually tell you about these hidden roles, and then you'll be like, wow, I never knew such a role existed. And today, without further ado, I'll just take a very quick look at the second slide here, which is about myself. So as you can see, I don't have many more many things to say about myself, but yeah, I simply call myself an IT consultant or an IT expert. Um, I currently work as a DevOps consultant for companies in the UK. And yeah, I've got MSc cryptography and cybersecurity from University of Turku in Finland. Yeah. And I've also spent over 5 years as a full stack developer, and I've done a lot of things here and there. I've dipped my hands into data analytics, web analytics, and so many more. But I just want to keep it brief. Hence why I have just chosen these four bullets. So now, what we're going to be talking about today. So um, I've got like five things listed. We are going to be defining what a content management system is, who is a web producer in a software lifecycle, so development lifecycle, web producer job titles, and then we'll do a very quick lab demo today about web production, and also we just wrap up because it's meant to be an hour, and so far I think we've spent about 5 minutes so far. So now, what is a content management system? I think, yeah, I could go straight into it by defining it or by telling you guys what it is about. But when I was planning this session, I was actually thinking in my mind that I would love to actually make it interactive, as limited as the time might be, but just to make it interactive. So, is there anyone here who has used any kind of like content management system before? Or someone that can just like give us an idea of what a CMS means to you, actually. Anyone? There is no right or wrong answer. Remember, we're just like, deliberating here. So, maybe some of you have actually used a CMS before, but you didn't quite realize what it's called, or you didn't quite realize that actually some people actually make big bucks from this. So a CMS is a software that helps users create, manage, and modify content on a website without the need for specialized technical knowledge. So what does that mean? Basically, it just means, say, for example, we have a company. Let's not even go that far. Let's talk about an individual person. So just an individual, as an individual, you need a website for yourself. Let's say maybe a CV website or resume website. Um, Most people that I've met would actually go. If you ask them how do they plan to like build a website for themselves, they tell you right away that, okay, maybe I'm going to use WordPress. you know so if you've used WordPress before, definitely you've used a content management system before, because that system, that software helps you to create, to manage, and modify content on your website. Now, that's like on an individual level. The same software we're talking about, the same CMS, is what big companies use across the world. you know, a lot of big companies. I mean, I've worked with like a few big companies, and I know a lot of other mates, other colleagues who have worked with different other companies. And I tell you, it is always the same thing. Like all these companies use content management systems to modify, to create, manage, and modify content on their websites. So now, just to like add to that, without a content management system, without a CMS, a developer or technical expert will be required to make content changes all the time. So now you can imagine if you say I asked you earlier if you want to own your own website, how do you plan building it by yourself? I mean, if you don't have much time, you just have like maybe like a week to launch and stuff like that. You won't tell me, you're not going to tell me that you are actually going to start learning maybe HTML, JavaScript, CSS right from scratch, just for you to be able to like write some codes and then build a website for yourself, right? So this this is one of the advantages of a CMS. A CMS might be built by a developer or might be built by like team of developers, yeah, and technical experts, but anybody can use it. So you don't have to have that expertise. You don't have to be like a tech guru to be able to like use CMS, for example. And also, I'll go to the next point there. It can be a little bit tedious optimizing website for search engine bots like Google bots to crawl if you would do that manually. All right. So if you would do that manually, say you want to like write your own codes to be able to optimize your website for search engine optimization, SEO. I believe some of you must have heard all these terms, but if you happen to be someone that hasn't heard of all these things before, I mean, I'll really appreciate it if at the end of the slides you can actually just ask questions and maybe we can deep dive a little bit into some of these things. So and again, just as I mentioned earlier, big companies may have to roll out dozens of pages every day. I tell you, I've worked like in some teams whereby, I mean, in some on some projects whereby they need to like roll out nothing less than like 20 pages in a day. So when I say roll out, I mean like they need to create the content and then add the content to their websites. Okay, add the content to their websites and everything having passed through different checks, including like like legal checks and stuff like that. So, and the way they do all of this, all this management of all the contents is by using the content management system, which the company uses. So again, if you would have to like be doing all these things manually, it will be really, really painful. It will be really, really painful, really, really painful, because it means that all the time you need to make the slightest changes on your website, you have to go get a developer or you get a technical person. So, and in my experience, I mean, having worked as a developer, I tell you that some of the things that most developers really, really hate is to be doing extra other things, which kind of like distracts their attention from development itself. So if you're like a full stack developer, you just want to be, you just want to understand the requirements and you get your tickets, like what to deal with, and you just want to stay focused. You want to do that, develop the software or the content management system, the CMS, and then just launch it. So you don't want to be the one that will be coming on board every now and then, again, to help the business to manage the contents or manage or to create like new pages, So in a typical technical team, everybody, each person within the team, within the software development lifecycle team, each person there has a role to play. Each person has a role to play. So you don't want to take someone else's job with yours. So that is why this special role of a web producer role in the olden days, actually they used to like mingle words and call it like even a web developer, they used to call it like a web designer role. But nowadays, things are becoming more granular or granulated, and then you can see that we have distinct roles defined for different roles within the technical team. So now, haven't said that, uh, here I've listed some examples of content management systems, popular ones that we use on the markets today. And this one here that I've put here, it's called Adobe Experience Manager, AEM. It is quite very popular among banks. So some of you might be using different banks' websites, at least on a weekly basis. I'm not talking about the mobile application itself, but like the actual websites of your banks. And you'll be surprised to know that actually most of them have been built using AEM, Adobe AEM. And yeah, they wouldn't use like WordPress to build like a bank website, no, but you could have like major brands using WordPress, content management system, Joomla, WooCommerce, and so on. I'm sure some of you might have heard some of these names before. So when we get into like maybe question and answer section, I believe that I'm really expecting questions from you guys. So the whole idea of what we are doing today is just to like, firstly, tell you, let you know and let you to open your minds to this niche within the tech world, which not many people are paying attention to. People go to university, earn degrees, bachelor's degree, and whatever. And at the end of the day, they might find themselves having to deal with some CMS, when they get a job. So, and some people will struggle because they probably had no idea what that was. And now they have to like jump into it and start using it. But if you are someone, like maybe you're here today, one thing you can tell yourself at the end of this session is, hey, actually, I know what a content management system is. I know what it is used for. And now I know how all these big banks and big, websites are managing their web pages and their contents and stuff. And yeah, maybe you can then decide to learn one or two of this content CMS that we've got listed here. So actually in the main in the main training, web producer training that I'm planning for January, I'm planning to go deep into AEM. The reason for that is because a lot of like top companies, especially banks in Europe, they use AEM, and I want anyone that is coming to that training to to be well equipped with with the knowledge of AEM, so that they can actually get themselves a job. They can actually get themselves a job. And I tell you, if you ask some of your friends what a web producer does, a lot, like 9 out of 10 people, most of the time, they don't know because they've never heard of that before. How come it doesn't sound like really difficult, like QA testing, or it doesn't sound like data analytics, or it doesn't sound like cybersecurity or anything at all, But there is a saying that, where the money is, might sometimes be like totally oblivious to people, looking for it. So people might be looking in the wrong direction. And for me, having worked again as a software developer for years, and I have seen the gap. And this is the reason I'm actually pushing this course. I'm pushing this training, to educate a lot of people. And in future, yes, I'll be teaching all the stuff like maybe DevOps or like cloud computing and stuff like that. But before we get to all those like big names, big name titles in IT. This ones here, this one especially, there is a big gap in it, because all the time, almost where I've worked, they are always lamenting, looking for someone that is a CMS expert or a web producer, and this is again why I decided that I'm actually going to educate people about this. So what is a CMS web producer? Definitely, I've mentioned it, while I was creating the other previous slides. However, I'll just like quickly go over it here again. So we have what we call the software development lifecycle. Okay, so this is basically like it's showing you the life cycle of the whole process that the tech team goes through when it comes to planning all the way to launching your products. Okay, so in a typical software SDLC agile team, you will find in the beginning, the very first beginning of the process of the life cycle is the planning phase. So what's happening in the planning phase? The planning phase is the point at which the business stakeholders. So now I'm going to be using like a big company like maybe Apple, or let's say Facebook, for example. So Facebook decides that they actually need a unique website to sell some of their products. I don't know if some of you are familiar with some products launched by Facebook, including Oculus. Okay, say if you know Oculus, you will know that Facebook has a unique website to market Oculus. So now the beginning phase, the first phase is the planning phase, where the whole team sits together, especially the stakeholders, and they're actually planning that we need a website to do certain thing. So we need a website to market our products. Okay, we need a website to do certain things. Now, the second phase is the analysis. This analysis phase is where the stakeholders then realize that they need an expert to join them in brainstorming and analyzing their idea, and also to like show them what is possible, what is not. So in this second phase, you will need someone like a business analyst. Okay, you need a business analyst, for example, to come in and sit with the team, understands the business requirements, and then be the one to begin to like interpret all of these business requirements to the software SDLC agile team, the software developers and the rest of the people within the team. So the design phase, this is where the business analyst breaks things down to the UI designer, or maybe the architect, the solution architect, of the whole system. And they sit down, and the UI designers, for example, or the UX designers, they come and they bring their imagination to the table. They say, actually, you need a website, right, to sell your products. How about you have the homepage look like this? How about you have an about us page that looks like this and like that, So that's this phase, the third phase. Now, the fourth phase is the implementation. That is where actually a lot of software developers are interpreting the designs, that have been supplied to them by the UI designers, UI UX designers, and also like maybe they've got certain systems in place already according to the requirements submitted by the solution architect, for example. So you've got the implementation phase, where the software developers, once again, they are working hard. The front-end developers, they are like building, they are coding, writing into code, all of the designs that have been submitted to them by the designers. And then you've got the back-end developers. I'm sure some of you will know all the terms I'm saying, like back-end developers, front-end developers. So the back-end developers, they concern themselves with what is happening like in the hidden part of the whole system, that is the database part, and how the database is talking with the front end side of the website, and the API, creating like the API for for data to be passed onto the front end. And I mean, it can even get more complicated, whereby you have you have some other systems plugged in, into that website, and so on. But without going too deep into all of this, from this point, the implementation phase, a web producer or a CMS producer might already like be involved. So the CMS producer might be involved in like all the meetings, and the planning, and also working alongside some of the software developers, to test certain components. All right. And then these two, they can be inter like woven, or they can actually lap. So you've got the fifth part, which is the testing and integration phase. So the testing phase, I'm sure some of you you've heard of the role, QA tester role, right? That's quality assurance testing role. So now this is where the QA guys come in the fifth role, in the fifth phase here. They come in to test, the software that has been built. They come in to test the content management system that has been built, and they look for loopholes, they look for bugs, on different pages and stuff. Now, while the quality assurance testers might be focusing on maybe certain things like the functionality of the website itself. For example, they want to make sure that when you click on the home button, or you click on the home menu, that you are actually being navigated to the home page. Or when you click on the contacts us menu, you are actually being taken to the contact us page. So while they are concerning themselves about all of these things, the web producer might be building pages using the templates that have been created by the software developers. So all of this is I'm saying to you that, don't worry if you're not getting the whole thing, the whole gist for now. By the time we get to like maybe the practical bits, you'll begin to like, see. But I know that the time is so limited today, because it's meant to be like an hour and a half session. So, but I'll try to like pass as much information as possible, just to let you, to let you know, what all of these things are all about. So now the maintenance section is there, which actually is also a phase in which the CMS producer will be found useful. So apart from the testing, that is creating web pages, okay, and then testing these web pages for the team, when everything goes live after launching, okay, the CMS producer or the web producer is actually needed to maintain all of these websites. So, or this particular website. So the content management system producer is the one that will be responsible for, say, for example, they need to swap some images on the homepage. Oh, Christmas is coming now. I mean, that's some of the things that I actually found, within different teams, is that as it is now that Christmas is coming, you will begin to notice that the home pages of several websites are changing, right? These home pages are changing because they are adding new designs, they are adding new images and stuff to the pages and to the website. I mean, now, all these things are not getting there by magic, right? There are people behind the scene who are actually doing this stuff. In a team where they are not actually maybe well organized, it is the web developer who has written the code to develop the whole website that will still be going on there and be, doing the job of a CMS or a web producer. So, but what I have found is that a lot of web developers do not like to do all these jobs, even though they are being pushed to do it, because maybe the business doesn't I mean, maybe the business just thinks that, oh, they want to cut corners, or I mean, we can use this developer for everything. I mean, there are crazy companies out there. I've seen situations whereby someone is hired as maybe a web developer. This person will still be the same person that'll be working as a QA tester for them, will be working as a UI designer, working as a data analyst. Man, they want to kill one person. That's like an overload. So that's totally inappropriate. So in an ideal team, you have a web producer whose job is actually to build all these pages, to build whatever pages, whatever pages that the business needs, using the templates that have been created, by the software developers. So now let's move on to all of this is I've actually mentioned the role of a CMS producer. I've actually talked about all of these things, and I think one thing I'll just mention here is the business as usual support for the business. So the BAU, the CMS producer actually provides BAU support, that is business as usual support for the business. So what does that mean? It means that like the content producer or the CMS producer, web producer, is responsible for managing all of the websites. Okay, is responsible for managing all of the websites, and I mean all the web pages. When I say all the websites, I'm just assuming that you have more than one website in that business. But any little thing that needs to be changed or any little thing that needs to be done on this website, the web producer is that person that they come to. Okay, so even if they need to like maybe update certain plugins on the website, is the web producer. And some of you might have actually done this by yourselves. Maybe you have a website and then you're like, oh, I need to update the plugin, and you've done this by yourself. And what you're doing for yourself for free is actually what you could be getting paid for. I'm telling you, it's what you could be getting paid for. Helping the business to update their plugins, helping the business to update the website. And in fact, what I found these days is that CMS, content management systems these days, they have become really, really robust, in the sense that they've become really highly extensible. You can you can do your web analytics. You'll find web analytics for functionalities within a CMS. You can find like maybe plugin management within the same CMS. You find IAM, that is like user access management within the same CMS. For anyone who has used like a really simple CMS before, just like maybe WordPress, Drupal, and so on, you must be familiar with all of these things, whereby you could actually manage. You could create different users, and then you manage the level of access that each of these users has got, within the website. So and you've got a lot of things that you can do with the CMS. And again, this you will find as the job of a lot of web developers, who have gone to uni or whatever to study and everything, and then at the end of the day, they just end up being used as a web producer. And as much as I would say that, yeah, the role of a web producer is not extensively like technical. That is to say, you don't need to know crazy level of coding, okay, to survive as a web producer. However, you still need the knowledge. You need the knowledge of basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, because at one point or the other, you will begin to like use this skill sets. And also, I think I will advise that you actually learn these things, because it will provide more opportunities for you out there. All right. Okay, so let's go to the next slide here. Now, this I believe is really important to talk about, different job titles, that you will find being used in the market, for a CMS expert or a web producer. So different job titles, and this is actually part of what is causing like huge confusion for a lot of people. So now in this slide, I tell you that same role that we're talking about, you might hear in certain company that they call it a web content editor. Okay. In another company, you might hear the same role is being called CMS website executive, or they call it it's a CMS coordinator, a CMS editor, or I put this one here to say certain CMS. That is to say, for example, AEM that we were talking about earlier, they could say it's they're looking for AEM editor or AEM author. That's another thing. They call them author, like author, like authoring a book. So these are like special roles that, unless you actually know about them and you actually look for them, you might never hear of them at all, ever in your whole career. So web content manager, they call some CMS manager, website editor, content author. Yeah, I think I mentioned that. Marketing executive, content producer, technical publisher, web publisher. So these are the names that are used like interchangeably all the time. So what I'm going to do now is actually, okay, let's talk about this slide, and then I want us to actually go into like a job board, a job website, and then look at different search for jobs using different titles that we've seen above here, and then see actually how much they are paying for these jobs in the market out there. Look at this. Oh, sorry, I think I go. Okay, I'll put this on here. Okay. Let's look for web or maybe content editor. Because I'm in London, I'm just going to use London. All right. So, and again, this might be something that you can find in your city, wherever you are. So if you are in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, you're in Finland, you're in Ireland, you are in the USA, it's gonna be the same thing. All right. So now let's see, which one are we looking at first? We're talking about web content editor. Actually, let's add it very well. Web content editor. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Can you see my screen? Actually, let me check. Are you guys still there?
Yes, can.
All right, nice one. Thank you, Angela. So now look at this, for example. I've just typed in one of the job titles. This is web content editor. Now let's scroll down and see what they are paying in the market there. And I'm telling you, because a lot of people don't know about all these roles. Can you hear me? Now, because a lot of people don't know about these roles, companies struggle to find someone who can do these jobs. Now look at this. This is 27. I believe that's a starting salary. Now, content writer, content editor. You are not a writer, so this role is not for a writer. You are not a writer. So if you see certain roles like this where they've actually put content writer, content editor, they're actually looking for a content editor. But you can mention, if you mention to them that, you know what, I'm not a writer, they will still take you. They will still employ you. So let's look at this, for example, be the dedicated lead writer, or except if it's in a case like this where they actually need someone who is a lead copywriter. You are not a copywriter. We're not talking about copywriting role here. No, we're talking about role in which, again, you're helping the business to build their web pages and adding different content to the web pages. And also you will know about search engine optimization, because I mentioned SEO the other time, right? And again, I intentionally just removed certain things from this short taster class because I don't want to waste your time. But yeah, little knowledge here and there about search engine optimization you will need. And when we have time later on, maybe in the actual training, I'll be teaching you, I'll be teaching about this SEO and stuff like that. And so on and so on and so on, analytics. You see, it's nothing, really. Some of, look at this now. They're asking for 2+ years of experience. In most of the roles, they only ask for like maybe 1 year of experience. And in fact, I tell you that from the past experience that I've had, like training people in this thing, in this particular niche, after training them, they will become so bold enough to actually to be able to say to any company that they've got over 1 year of experience, because it's all about using this content management system and knowing it very well, especially if you'll be working with like banks or like really big companies. They need someone who is like well seasoned and knows how to use the content management system. So look at this, for example. This is another thing. It's still, I mean, this is exactly the same role that we're talking about. Okay, so you must be able to like use the content management system that the company uses, and your role. If you look at all of that, I mean, I want you to do this on your own. Again, I don't want to waste so much time talking about all of these things, but you go through them, and I tell you that immediately after this kind of training that we're talking about, you will be like able to put your CV out there and say you are actually looking for job as a content producer, as a web producer, as whatever the name might be. You see, like thousands of names, technical publisher, whatever it is. Look here, for example, they're calling this senior content management. Of course, this particular role now, you must have like transitioned to like kind of like senior level. Okay, you must have transitioned to a senior level at this point. So now go to the net. If you go here, for example, this is a senior digital content editor. This is still the same roles we're talking about. Okay, here they're adding writing and editing, but I don't know why some of them are actually adding writing, but it's nothing to do with writing, because if they need writers, they actually need copywriters. So that's a different role entirely. And again, I think this is one of the cases where which I've mentioned earlier, that you might find some companies trying to cut corners and actually hiring one person to come and do 10 million things. So, but hey, all these things, they are not the right, that's not the right way to go about it. Look at that web content management editor. This is like, these are the things we're talking about. Digital content editor, and this is a really good pay. If you think about it, this is a good pay here. This is like for someone just coming to cover for 13 months, they're gonna be paying up to this amount. And this is, again, another thing that I mentioned to people is, even if you see yourself just doing this kind of role for like 1 year, 2 years, okay, you can use it as a stepping stone into the tech world, actually. So if you for example, say that you want to get a job as a data analyst, I tell you that it will take, in reality, it may take you longer time to actually land a role, to land a job, compared to someone who is actually a web producer. So now, a web producer whose intention is actually to become a data analyst, or whose intention at the end of the day is actually to become a software developer or something else, this is a very fast, a good track to go by. When you come into the team as a web producer, you still keep learning your other stuff, and you make sure that you mingle with people within the organization, those people, I mean, that department that you're actually eyeing to like end up with, begin to make friends there. And the moment there is an opening, they tell you, oh, there is an opening for certain role, and then you can switch role within the same organization. I've seen this happen like a lot of times, and this is why, again, I'm just like mentioning that there's a lot of opportunities, with this thing. So you can look for content like producer. For example, let's go here and be like and look for web content. You can add web content producer. All right. You can do the same for your for wherever you are. Look at this is Virgin. So I believe some of you might know Virgin. So they are actually looking for someone to come and work as a content producer. And yeah, so this is also like maybe an additional thing that they are requiring here, but the basis is always for you to be able to like use the kind of content management system that they have in the organization. And they call all this, if you, so now when you do all these searches on your own, you know.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, this is interesting to know that there are quite a number of content managers that is needed.
Yeah.
So how is it different from the I don't know if you know about what I do, right? This is Tikral.
Hey, hi, Tikra. I was like, this
Yeah.
voice sounds familiar. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's I do content production. So I don't know if it is different from what I do. Is it more of
It
web
is.
or
Yeah.
tech?
This is web. Actually, this is web. So
So there's a slight
again,
difference.
yeah, it's different. Again, this is the case whereby you find the same term being used across maybe two different niches. Okay, so I know you, I know T Crown, and I know you are into like maybe film production, video production, and so on. Okay, so but this is a niche that is different in the sense that you know it is called web production, where you come into the business to help them to like build pages, and you might actually bring on board like other
Yeah, I
skill
was just about
sets.
to say that. Yeah, so
Exactly.
there is definitely still going to be needed
Mm-hmm.
because I can see some of their details. It has kind of what I do. So it's
Exactly.
already still
No,
involved.
yeah. So that's why I keep saying that, you know, wherever you're coming from, you should just learn to like um see your previous knowledge as part of your strength, actually, you know, to land a job, a really good job. So I mean, yeah, web content production, for example, is something that a lot of people still don't know exists in tech, really. And like I mentioned, it doesn't require like crazy technical experience. You know, look at what we're reading on here. For example, this one they want to pay like 40K per year, right? And that's gonna be like starting salary. And this person, you know, again, you'll be coming to use like the content management system. You update and you edit content. And I'm telling you, this is like it's a brilliant salary. Honestly, it's a brilliant salary in the UK here. It's a brilliant salary to start with. And by the time the whole team actually realizes the kind of skills that you've got and what you are bringing on board, this will open more doors for you. You know, at the end of the day, this will open more doors for you, actually. So now, yeah, we've talked about all of these things. I could go on and on and on and like to use let's use a different, I mean, this is another one. They can call it marketing content producer, for example, and it is still the same role, you know, that we're talking about, you know, where you'll be able to like use, but again, they might be asking for like certain things like okay, strong project management skills and stuff like that. But the secret here is that um again, having worked in the UK most especially, the secret here is that when you see a job description, all right, and you analyze the old requirements that they've asked on there, the moment you see that you can actually do about 40% of what they've asked for, you should put yourself forward. All right. I hope you understand what I'm saying there. So the moment you've gone through, I mean, you find a job role, for example, maybe it's something like this one, and then you've read through everything, and then you're like, oh, I don't know how to do this, how to work with here. They've asked you must be able to work with developers to improve the da 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 da. Maybe you've never worked with developers before, and you're like, oh, I don't know how if they will take me. They will take you if you can put yourself forward. Okay, yeah, I think Temitope wants to ask a question.
So,
Please,
okay,
carry on.
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Was trying to unmute myself. Thank you for this enlightening session. I actually was into content management back in Lagos. I know how to manage a website from the back end. I mostly use WordPress,
Oh,
and yeah, but then I know there's so much more to it, especially from what you've been explaining, and obviously there's still some little bits to learn. So I'm
right.
just wondering how do I where can I get like a quick training on maybe the HTML? Because I saw a job yesterday and I saw you have to be proficient with HTML. What's HTML? And you also
Yeah.
mentioned JavaScript earlier. So I'm just thinking, okay, if I can brush up on some little things here and there, maybe I can put myself out there, like you said earlier, like just put yourself out there. So I know these things, but you can't just know them all. You just need
Mm.
to like brush yourself up here and there. So can you suggest any like short courses or anywhere you can get those trainings so that
Yeah.
at least you can, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my
Very good.
first question. That's
Okay.
my first question. And the other one is the what we can just put there now that are these jobs sponsoring tier two visas and all, because that would be nice.
Yeah. So let's start with the first question. Where to learn, the basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript that you need to function in some of these roles. So, I mean, we've got all kinds of resources online, YouTube, and I can actually share some of these some links with you afterwards, because we are. I mean, my idea is that we are going to. I'm going to add you to like a Slack group. I don't know if you don't know what a Slack is. Slack is just like let's say a version of WhatsApp that is used in the tech world. So whichever role you find yourself, you might be using Slack a lot to communicate with other members of the team. So anyway, I'm gonna be adding so if you want me to add you, yeah, you could just like maybe drop a chat. You just drop your email address and then I'll add you to the Slack group, and then you can ask like further questions as much as you want. And also like I'll drop you like links to where you can find lectures on HTML. I mean, this I'm not talking about like time wasters, right? And you don't need to know, again, as a digital content producer or web content producer, you don't need to know like massive coding at all. So now what you found on a job description where they've mentioned that you must be proficient in HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So, but they are not asking you, for a developer's skill sets. No, because you're not a developer, but you must know certain things. And these certain things that you will need, these certain like code snippets, these are some of the things that I'll be teaching people in the actual training. So again, this is just meant to be like scratching the surface, and we've not, we won't even have time to like go deeper, because I can already say that we've spent a lot of we've almost gone over our time now. So that's the first bit. So yeah, some companies might be asking you for certain skill set. Proficiency in HTML, but they are not expecting you to be. If you know that, at least 30% HTML, CSS. You don't need to know JavaScript at all. You just know 30%. You can, when you see a code snippet, you can read it. You know what it means to have like what's it called? To have to for a header one. You know what a header one tag is. You know what a paragraph tag is. You're fine. And a few more things really. So, and the second bit is, yeah, there are companies in the UK that actually hire, and they hire people that need tier two sponsorship. Right. So again, there's a lot of requirements for them. They must have the right license before they can actually hire. So I think if you are interested in this kind of role, you might just you might need to go to the government website, like gov.uk website, look for tech companies specifically, and then maybe go onto their job site, job website, or when you are like on Indeed, for example, you might be fortunate to find some adverts by some of these companies looking for a web content producer, and then you just like put yourself forward. So never say never. I've seen all kinds of miracles and things happen in this land, and I will encourage you to like always put yourself forward, really. And for Tope that asked the question earlier, I think you're lucky that you've got like a background with WordPress. That's enough, man. You just need to like maybe build a little bit on it. For example, like a lot of big companies don't use WordPress in the UK. So yeah, you might be lucky to like maybe find some that are using WordPress, but I will encourage you to like learn at least two other content management systems. And again, in the training that we're going to do in January, the plan is to actually train people on 3 different content management systems. So yeah, I'm going to share this slide with you at the end of the whole thing, and I would like you to go on, I mean, just like go in your browser on your own, on Indeed website or any job website at all, and try to put in all of these terms, all these terms that I put here, and then see what they're asking for and see how much they're actually paying. And I'm telling you, these are really good. I've seen content like web content producers that are doing way better than cybersecurity experts or whatever, because they are not doing like a permanent job as well. They are doing like maybe contracting and stuff. This is it's a special role that requires skill sets. So, and a lot of people don't know about it. So yeah, I count you really lucky that you are here in this class today. Because yes, you only need to like go higher from here. So let's just go to the last slide. The last slide here, I was talking about how different roles have changed these days. So usually you'll find people talking about, companies looking for people who are like QA testers or data analysts or front-end developer, full stack developer. But these days, most of these roles are now being more specific. So they are now being CMS related jobs. For example, in a case where you used to hear maybe a software developer, now all you hear nowadays is like a site code developer. They just need that person who knows about this particular CMS called Sitecore and who can develop, that CMS. Or if you are a business analyst, in the olden days, they could call a business analyst, but nowadays they come down, specifying that we actually need someone who is an Adobe AEM business analyst. If you're a QA tester, this is another CMS here, Magento. They specify that we actually need a Magento QA tester, and so on and so forth. This is like Kentico. All of these CMSs, they are out there, in the job markets, and the way you don't need to know all of them. You just need to know one minimum, but I'll encourage you to know at least 3. Yeah, so let's just go to do like a really quick demo, because our time is gone now. Let's do a really quick demo. Now, I've been talking about AEM, Adobe AEM, being actually the top content management system that is being used by banks, by a lot of like big companies out there. You might find even, what's it called now? Airlines, maybe Virgin and stuff, using AEM. Yes, believe it or not. And this is exactly why I really want to like train people on this CMS, because there are jobs out there, with this particular CMS, but very few people know about them. They just need web producers who can actually operate the CMS. And if you think about it, those companies, if they just if they have the slightest mistake on their website, it can cost them millions of pounds. So they don't want to hire just anybody. And some of them are so lazy to like hire people and then train them. They don't want to hire someone that doesn't even know anything about CMS and be like, okay, we want to train you. They won't do that. So they will tell you that we need somebody that is very proficient at using AEM. However, with the kind of training that you would have gotten from us, for example, you would be like bold enough to say, you know what, I can do this. Yes, here I am. And then the first thing for you getting a job at all is putting yourself forward. The moment you can like put your CV forward and be like, you know what, I can do this, you've already beaten a lot of people who are just procrastinating. Maybe someone still thinks, oh, I need to do a little bit more training. I mean, I've seen people like wasting thousands of pounds just training, and yet they are not even looking, they are not bold enough to go look for a job. So your case won't be like that. So now I'll just describe really quickly what you are seeing here on the back end. So when you open, for example, say a Barclays website, for example, I'm saying Barclays because I know that Barclays and some other companies, they are using AEM. Yeah. So this is what you see. Now, of course, what they have lined up in each column will be different. So now just imagine what you have on this left column here, as like to be like different folders related to the websites of the business. Okay. Now I'm just choosing this one for illustration. This is one of the folders. And this particular folder in here, they have laid it out. It's got like children folders, or you can call them smaller folders inside this big one. So which they have actually set up to look like, to be specific to different countries, all right, and different languages as well. So this will be English language, they call it language masters. Now, for the United States websites, so basically what you're seeing right here, we are assuming that we have different versions of the same website. If somebody opens this particular website in United States, the kind of sorry, excuse me, the layout that they will see on the homepage will be slightly different from what someone that lives in Canada sees. And it will be slightly different, especially the texts and the copies that you see will be slightly different from what someone in Germany will see, or France, and so on. Okay, so typically in any business that you find yourself using this kind of CMS, for example, Adobe AEM, you'll find that they have different language specific folders for different locations. Okay. Now let's say we are going to work on this language masters folder, and all of this is not your own business. Actually, as a web producer, these are the things that would have been set up by the developers, because this is what they enjoy to do. They want to set up, they want to make sense of everything, separate concerns, make everything modular. And then your own is to actually learn how all of these things work together, and you help the business, because the developers won't be working as much as you will be, especially if you're working for like maybe big companies or banks. So the developers, you only call on them if something is broken, but you will be using these things every day, building web pages for the business. Christmas is coming. They need to like set up they need new content. So if you have that skill set of like creating content, maybe making videos or whatever, you can work with them, and then as well as helping them to like produce on the web. So that's what I'm saying. Whatever skill set you've got, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, you will find yourself relevant. You'll find this role like really, really relevant when you bring your skill set on board. So now let's go into this folder here, into the English folder, what you can see here is that is where the actual website begins. So until you see what's on the front end side before you actually appreciate what I'm showing you on the back. Now, this is like the home page, the landing. I'll take you to the landing page of this particular website. So now let us assume that we have a business. That business is called We Retail. Okay, We Retail. That's the business. It's a company that sells like maybe fitness gears and wears for men and women, basically. So you can see all of these things here. This is their landing page. When you come here to the English page, this is what you see. Now let us do one thing. Let us go to maybe the French landing page, for example, and see what they've got there. Don't worry if you don't understand what I'm doing now. I'm just going to explain in a moment. But yeah, so hold on. View as published. So this is what sorry, now ignore this. They haven't actually translated the whole thing, but you can see they've translated a few menus here. The profile is called profile. On the English website, you see account, profile, wish list, but on the French website of the same business, okay, you can see Comte or profile. Sorry for my bad French. And so on like that, right? And it's also got like an icon here specifying the language. Okay, so the English, it's just got like EN here. All right. So now, basically on the back end, your own concern is to just know how to manage all of these pages that you have here. So these are basically different pages on the website. So I'll show you what that means. If we select the main page, for example, and we click on edits. So when you select edits, that is just assuming that you want to edit the men's page. So what's the men's page? How does the main page look on the front end? Let's have a quick look. I'm going to close all of these other ones. So this is actually what the men's page look on how it looks on the front end. So you've got different items for sale here, and assuming this is an actual website for a business, a retail company, you would definitely know that, yeah, all these items did not just jump in here. No, these items, they didn't just come here. Definitely someone somewhere is behind the scene uploading this content, right? Someone somewhere is there, uploading all of this stuff. Yeah. And also specifying what kind of sizes they've got, small, medium, and so on. And, these are all built with templates already created by the developers. But your own job as a web producer, again, is to come in here and then just like add all of this content and help them to manage the websites on a daily basis. So now let's do one thing here. This is the men's page. You can edit any component on this page. Like this is like a component. So it's like you can call it the header component or hero component. This is another component, you can call it maybe text component, for example, or title. Actually, it's got a name. This is called title component. I don't know if you can see this little thing here. It's called title component. And this is actually called a product grid component. Okay. Now, each of these components you see, it's just like a Lego. When it comes to like, building all these pages and using AEM, for example, you'll be working almost like you're using Lego on a daily basis, because you could start creating a page from scratch. And if that page requires, to have maybe this particular component called a teaser, you just add it. You simply add that component to it. And how do you add? I'll go to this place, for example, where there is nothing here. So you add a new component by simply left clicking on that. So again, during the actual actual training, I'll find a way of creating like your own what's it called now, your own CMS, individual CMS, which you can control from your desktop. So that's what we're going to do, because usually the trainings are hands-on. So you'll be following as I'm doing stuff, you'll be doing stuff on your own end at the same time. And also after the session, if you like, you can play with that before you go to bed, just like, click around and do whatever on your own, and you begin to like improve in your skills. So now here, this is how you insert a new component, and then you just grow down. All these components, they've been built by the developers. Your own job is to come here and just like select, a component that you need, on this particular page that you're building. So let me just feel really, really lazy and be like, I just want to add maybe a link button. That's a very small thing to add. Now, you will see that when I clicked on that, this thing came up here. This is a link button, right? But where is it linking to? It might not be linking to anywhere at the moment. Now, all of these designs that you see, red arrow, these have been designed by UI designers, and then they've been developed, they've been written in code by developer. So again, your job is to make use of all of these things that the developers have, like all these components that they've built. Your own is to make use of all these components and begin to like lay them out like, like a puzzle or like Lego, basically. So if you want to change this link, for example, and this is how it is in real life, actually, because AEM, whichever company you're working for, it's got the same functionality. Maybe some of them might be a little bit extended, but yeah, these are the basics. So when you click on that, look at what I've done here. I selected that component, that link component. After adding it, I added it first. I selected it, and I've just clicked on this configure or the spanner icon, and then you can come here and give it a label. Let's call it Mango. Sorry, I cannot spell today. Mango. So where is it linking to? Maybe it's just linking to google.com. And again, yeah, they might have some extra fields like CSS class or whatever. All these things is not for you to worry about. These are the things that would have come for you in a brief. So you are building off a brief, okay? So again, I'll be explaining all these things for you. I don't want to waste time, but just showing you basically what happens, when you do this thing. Now, you've done that. You've created a new link called Mango, and which is meant to go to google.com, right? Now let's go here quickly on the front end and see. Let's go to the men's page. I think it was on the men's page here. Let's refresh that, and you see, like in real time, it's already here. It's come here straight away. So except that the link is not actually, I think there is a bug somewhere. The link is not actually appearing really beautifully for us, but this is just an idea. This is just like give you an idea of what is happening on the back end and how all these things reflect on the front end. So this will be your job. As you can see so far, this is a job that anybody at all that can be trained, anybody that is trainable, this is what they can do. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. I've seen someone who used to be a chef, and today, they are working as CMS producer, and they are doing fine. And I've seen people from all walks of life really, just transition into this. And again, it might be a stepping stone for you to get into the system, to get into the tech world, to get, just have a plan. And now you can't say that you didn't know about this. Now you know about it. So yeah, you can come here and just add maybe a simple text here. This is what any of you can do easily. You can click on this button and be like, I'm just, putting, now this text, all these things will be briefed to you by maybe the content management team, or say the copywriters. That's why I keep saying that your job is not to write copies. No. All right. So I actually love Ghanaian jollof most. Some people will break my head for this, but hey, let's just leave it this way, all right? And then you just do that. And if you want to hyperlink, for example, you've got the option here. These are just like simple things. So if you've got a path, basically it's asking for certain path. Maybe this is something that will be supplied to you. It's something that is being defined on the back end. So it's not for you to cram at all. And that's the thing I like about this role. There's nothing to cram about it, really. There's nothing to cram at all. All these things I just need to like show you around it, and you'll find out that, oh, actually you can do this thing by yourself. So just show you especially what's happening on the back end and how you can navigate yourself. So I think this is a good point to actually stop. We've been a few minutes over. I think about 20 minutes over now, or 10 minutes over. So thank you for your patience. And I think I'll just stop here. And yeah, let's take some questions. If you have questions, let's take questions before we say good night and goodbye for today. Yeah. If you have questions, let me know. Just feel free.
Yeah. What is the training starting proper, and what's the fee?
Pardon?
When is the training starting proper, and what's the period? What's the fee?
Oh yeah. So now the fee, we are looking to just put it at £150. The reason being that I would like more people to have access to this. So in the past, we've done it like I think 300, 400 and so on, especially within the UK here. But because we have like different people coming in and showing interest, so I've decided to like make it really, really basic, reduce the fee to about £150. And the whole training should take us about a week, really. And again, once I've added it to the Slack group, we'll be having discussions there. This is where we will all agree on when it's best. I mean, I can do weekends, but some of you might prefer to like maybe to have some of these trainings during the week and so on. But these are the things that we'll be talking about later on anyway. But yeah, the fee cannot be more than £150 for the whole 1 week. And again, don't forget that there'll be support after that, especially for some of you that might want to write CV, and stuff like that. Yeah, we'll talk about that in details later.
Also, it looks like it's an ongoing. It's not like a training that is you just do and just go off. You need to keep refreshing your memory.
Exactly. So I like to say that when you leave it for a week, it actually leaves you for two weeks. When you leave it for a day, it leaves you for 2 days. So yeah, especially like the simple HTML parts, you can see so far we didn't even need to use any code, because all of these things have been built for you, all these components, and you just need to like plug them in together and just lay them out on the page or on the pages that you're working on. So but again, we'll be training on like HTML, CSS. We don't need JavaScript, but if anyone needs, we can also add that, but you won't need it at all, or maybe never. But again, it's something that if you are interested in coding, you might then build upon that foundation. Yeah, so yeah, and you have to keep practicing all the time. It's not something that you just leave, be like, oh, because these businesses that we're talking about that really want to hire you, when they say proficient, they need someone proficient, they actually mean it. They need you to be confident. And these are the things that we'll be talking about as well. Before you go for your interviews, we'll do like demo interviews together. I will do one-on-one with you. and also like help you get prepared and stuff. Yeah. Any question? Any other? I think Theo was asking a question.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for the presentation. And it's nice to know that you were also in University of Truro, which is where I am also.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to find out that in this case, whether it was useful to start learning JavaScript or HTML or CSS, and then because I wanted to also ask what the relationship between CSS, because just a little knowledge I know about this HTML and CSS is like HTML is about the structural component and the dynamics of
That's correct.
the front end outlook. But with CSS, then it has to like
the styling.
Yeah, the styling of the outlook. So I wanted to know if it has anything also to do with this this thing that the CMS stuff. So, but I think that you have explained, which is why it's important to also learn.
It's good to have the knowledge. Honestly, I will encourage it, and I will definitely like also teach it. It's very good to have the knowledge of HTML, CSS, and maybe not so much JavaScript. However, if anyone is showing interest, then we'll like deep dive into JavaScript. But I'm telling you, like 99% of the time, the people that have actually trained and mentored, they've never had to use JavaScript, and just a little bit of HTML and CSS. I tell you, a little bit. And for me, I keep pushing them actually to keep learning HTML, CSS. Reason being that I don't want them to be redundant. So in this particular company, you might not really be using your HTML, CSS skill set. However, the next role that you might find yourself, especially if you want to progress to the next level, to do maybe that particular thing that you have more passion for, you might find yourself like needing this HTML and CSS. And I tell you, if there are like 3 people who are bidding for the role, and if they know that you are the one that actually, this might be the only thing that just stands you out, this little bit of HTML, CSS, and also the knowledge of the CMS. It might be the only thing that would just stand you out of the crowd. So yeah, it's essential, really. It is essential. Yeah. So any more questions, guys? If you don't have questions, I guess we'll just stop here and say I'd like to say thank you for attending, and for those of you that have left your details, I think some of you have left the details in the chats. Yeah, thank you. I'll look into them, and then we'll just let you know. Yeah, I'll pass on like details to you and ask your questions, whatever questions. I'll add you to Slack, and then you can ask whatever questions you want to ask in there, and then we just move on from there. And also the dates that we'll be doing trainings in January, I will announce on there for you. For those that will be interested, just let me know. And if you would like to be part of it, and you feel like you don't have enough financial capability as well, yeah, maybe we can work out something. But I mean, if you let me know, yeah, we might work out some kind of like maybe scholarship if possible. But yeah, I'll be sharing the details with you in the Slack group chats. So thank you, guys.
Give us a scholarship for Femi.
No worries. Thank you.
Sorry, one more thing before you go.
Yeah.
If could you also add, for instance, some links to where maybe we can start something about HTML or CSS and yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
I'll do that as well. So yeah, you guys, thank you very much for.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm listening. Hi.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate your effort.
No worries. Thank you, sis. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it. Hello?
Thank you very much for the session, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
Emmanuel.
you.
Thank you. No worries. Yeah, all right, guys. Okay. Speak to you later. Bye.
All right, bye bye.